It is a beautiful day today in Ohio, and we are headed to Dollar Tree. Several months ago, I discovered these boards. I love that they are square, not round, because it just gives you so many more possibilities. And they are pretty good size too. All right, so for this one, we are going to remove the jute string, and I'm just going to lightly sand the edges. They're a little bit rough to the touch, nothing too big. And then we're going to stain it. Now you can paint it. Of course, you can choose any color you want. Trust me, I went from maybe I should paint it red, maybe I should paint it white. I ended up going with more of a wood tone. This is just preference. I'm going to use Waverly Antiquing Wax because it is just, it's odorless and it just works really well. Once I put it on, I'm just going to let it dry. I'm going to sand it smooth. This is just going to lighten up that color just a little bit. And then, of course, just make it nice and smooth. And then I'm going to stencil this Christ is born onto the bottom. Now, I am going to do one word at a time because I want to do it more of a horizontal than vertical. So I'm just going to use the Waverly chalk paint in the sandstone. And I'm going to remove the excess paint from my brush. This is my favorite stenciling brushes. And I know I say this all the time, but they really are good. And I have them on my Amazon store if you want to check them out. All right, so I did get a little bit of paint right there on the board. I'm going to wipe it really fast. Now I'm going to take the same paint. I'm just going to distress the edges just a little bit. I'm just going to add it. This is just going to add dimension to those edges and just add a little bit more of a rustic detail to it. Now, this is just, again, the style that I picked. You can do this in any style. You can glam this up. You can also do it in a farmhouse style, rustic style, whatever you want. I am going to just then some of this baker's twine in the natural tone, and I'm going to hot glue it to the back and tape it. Then I'm going to go around and around a few times, and I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it's very repetitive. I'm just going to wrap it around several times until I have maybe about 2 inches, give or take, of the thread. And I'm going to hot glue it to itself and cut off the excess. Now I'm going to take some picks. These are just ones that I had left over from last year, some newer ones, and then a little bit of Amazon finds as well. And I'm just going to start placing them through the jute string. This is just going to give me a place to place them. Now, some of the ones, I thought about leaving them hanging at the bottom. You see that? But then I decided to cut them off because it just, I don't know. I just wanted to clean it up. So I'm just going to cut those and then insert whatever I need to insert and keep inserting as I see fit. All right, so now I'm going to add my faux knots technique. You know I love this technique. I'm going to make a couple of knots, cut off the excess rope from the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to hot glue them over the little holes that were already there. And then I'm going to take more rope and hot glue it to the back right where those holes are. That way it's going to make it look like it's hanging from the knots, but it's not. All right, so we are almost done with this one. I'm just going to add a little bit of tape on the rope. That way it's not going to fray. And that's about it, my friends. This is one of my favorites. I love the rustic Christmas feel it has. I love the Christ is born because he is the reason for the season. Love everything about it. But let me know what you think down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take 2 of these wooden boards. Love using these 2. I've used them so many times. Again, I'm just going to lightly sand after I remove the string and the tag. And then we're going to join them together using some of these jumbo size popsicle sticks. Although you can also use the regular size ones. Just add a few more and that's okay. Again, I'm just going to add 3 of them. And then I'm going to pair it with another small little wooden boards that comes 6 in a pack. And I love finding these in the wooden aisle. I have 2 of them and I'm going to hot glue them, one at the top and one at the bottom. We're creating another kind of like rustic feel and style, but of course you can choose any style you want. I'm going to do the same thing on the other one and hot glue it to the bottom. All right, so then we're going to stain it again and I'm going to use the same one, Waverly chalk paint. Again, you don't have to. You can paint it in whatever color you want. I battled. I thought I'm going to do it white because you know I love white, but I wanted to just give it something different. So I'm just going to stain the entire thing and let it dry. Once dry, again, I'm just going to sand it lightly. This is going to lighten up that color and make it nice and smooth. And then, of course, we want to wipe it. I decided to add a little bit more of a distressed look. We're going to take that same color from earlier, the sandstone, and we're just going to add a few little stripes. This is just going to give it nice and distressed look. It's kind of like dry brushing. And don't worry, it looks pretty heavy, but we're going to lighten it up We're going to wipe as well as lightly sand because it's just going to lighten things up and just smooth everything and kind of make it look very seamless. All right, so again, we want to wipe and dust really well. And then we're going to add something a little different. I'm going to take some vinyl. This is some red vinyl that I have left over. This is a Cricut one, but you can use the ones from Dollar Tree. The white one is from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to speed it up quite a bit here for you because I'm just basically going to use my ruler and create an H. And then I'm just going to cut it off. This is going to say ho, 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 like Santa Claus. So I'm just going to, again, use my ruler and my pencil to create 3 H's. And then I'm going to use a mug to create the O for the ho, ho, ho. And I'm going to do 3 of those. And 2 of the ho, ho, ho's are going to be red and 1 is going to be white. And remember, friends, if you have a Cricut machine or any other cutting machine, just design it and have the machine do it. It's so much quicker. But I always like to give you options in case you don't have one. So now I'm just kind of dry fitting to see where I want the letters. Now I created the letters larger than what I thought, but it turned out okay. So they're going to overlap each other, but you're going to see how cute. Now they're going to have a little bit of a tilt to it. So I'm going to do one of the reds at the top, one of the reds at the bottom, and then we're going to do the white one in the center. And again, they're going to overlap just a little bit, but it kind of works. I don't know. Let me know what you think. All right, we're going to take this ribbon from Dollar Tree, which is stunning. I love the dual kind of like feel to it. One's like more sheer. The other one's, oh my gosh, so cute. I'm going to pair it with some burlap ribbon that I already had here from burlapfabric.com. And I'm just going to make a very simple bow. I'm just going to loop it, scrunch it in the middle, fluff it up, and we're going to hot glue it to the top. And of course, you can add whatever else you want. I want to keep it in the rustic feel, so we're going to add a pine cone and then a couple of these picks. These are from Amazon, but you can use the ones from Dollar Tree, of course. And then some of these glittery picks, just to add a little bit of touch of glitter. Now we want to hang this, so yes, we are going to do the faux knot technique. I love it, and I think it goes with it. But trust me, you can do whatever else you want. You can even hot glue the rope to the front. It's okay. All right, so we're going to add a couple of those faux knots to the front and then hot glue more rope to the back and tape it so that it does not flare. And I love this one. Oh my gosh, the combination of the red and the white against the wood tone is just so pretty. But let me know what you think down in the comments. For this next Christmas craft, we are going to take this leftover piece of wood. I literally was questioning, like, where did I get this? I had no clue. I wish I would have found out because I always like to tell you where I get things, but it's okay. I want to paint the bottom half in this green. It's Fern Green by Waverly. And I'm going to just use one of these, actually several of these picks. These are evergreen picks from Amazon, which I do get on Amazon, and I do have them in my Amazon store because you get much more bang for your buck and they're great quality. All right, so I am going to remove the pick portion of 3 of them and then remove the excess bristles from the bottom. And then on the first one, I just place just as is. On the ones on the sides, I'm also going to remove one of the kind of like picks from the side. You see that? And I'm just going to hot glue it next to it. We're creating a little gnome, and this is what will be the beard. So we're just building it. I'm going to take those that I just pulled off, and I'm going to hot glue them right there in between. This is why we painted the bottom portion green, so it has that nice base color. Now I'm going to cut some extra pieces, again, giving it that nice beard gnome look. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to keep hot gluing as needed. We're going to pair it with one of these little fabrics that I found. This one's from Hobby Lobby. I have not seen any at Dollar Tree for the Christmas season, but I found these. They're $1.50, and I believe they had a percentage off, but I cannot remember. And they're a little larger than the one from Dollar Tree. I ironed it and cut off a piece that would give me enough to create a little hat. I folded the bottom for a seam, and I'm just going to hot glue it to the board over the beard. You see, not over the whole thing, but just the top portion. Cutting off any excess and then hot gluing as needed. We're going to then scrunch it up at the top. You can scrunch it up with whatever you want, ribbon, jute string. I decided to use a piece of leftover drop cloth. I'm just going to cut it in a thinner strip, and then I'm just going to scrunch it like a little hat, just like that. And then I'm going to keep it very simple. We're just going to tie it, cut off the excess, and then we are going to add a little nose, of course. I cut off the top, leaving about an inch or an inch and a half, give or take. The little wooden bead is going to be my nose. I'm just going to add a little glue and then just going to snug it in there, and it'll be a cute nose. Now, I think you can leave it like this and it'd be so adorable, but I'm going to add some of those glittery picks from Dollar Tree. I'm going to take small little thin strips and I'm just going to hot glue it to the beard, but very little. This is just a detail. And you see how I kind of snug it up in between the green bristles? That way it's not going to be too much. It's just going to be a nice little detail. And I'm going to add two smaller ones on the sides and a longer one at the bottom. All right, so now we're going to cut off a little bit more of that drop cloth, and then just to finish it all, we're going to add one of these little frosted berries and a little pine cone. And then, of course, we want to hang it like an ornament or anywhere else we'd like to hang it. So I'm going to loop a portion of this baker's twine, and we're just going to hot glue it to the back. That's it. Such an easy craft, and what a fun one. You can customize this in whatever style. You can make it frosted, give it some snow on that beard, whatever you want. But let me know what you think of this one down in the comments. For this next Dollar Tree DIY craft, we are going to take one of these wooden boards. I love these because they have a really real wood feel. Great size too for crafting. So I'm just going to remove the sticker from it. And we are going to paint this one red. We're going to use Crimson Red by Waverly. We're going to do a rough coat because we're going to distress it anyways. So I'm just going to do the sides and the top. And then I am going to remove the excess paint just so that it looks a little bit more like stain. Although it covered really well. I don't know what I was thinking. Waverly has great coverage, but it's okay. It worked out. Once dry, we are going to then sand it smooth, and we're going to distress it. Again, we're just looking for that farmhouse rustic look, but it's up to you, whatever you want. I'm going to take some of the jumbo popsicle sticks. We're just going to square those ends. I'm going to use my wire cutter. This is just going to make it easy to snap and cut. And we're going to use my sanding block to sand them because they do get very splintery. All right, so now we're just going to dry fit and measure several pieces. It's going to be 5 pieces, 1 for the top, 2 for the corners, and then 2 for each side. We're creating a little barn. So we're just going to keep dry fitting. Now, I'm not going to give you measurements because it all depends on what size board you get. You can do this as big or as little as you want. So I'm just going to keep dry fitting, placing, marking, and cutting. So just do that. All right, so once I had the pieces where I wanted, I'm going to paint them in the Waverly chalk paint in the ink tone. Again, a sloppy coat because we are going to distress them. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm also going to distress the red board, and it looks so pretty. All right, so I am going to add some dry brush on the white Waverly chalk pen. Again, this is just to add more of a distress technique, but you don't have to. Just leave it solid if you'd like. I'm going to soften it, just wiping off the excess and then giving it one additional sanding, and that's it. All right, so the wood black pieces are dry, so I am going to sand those as well. And then, of course, we want to wipe everything, make sure that it's clean. All right, let's put everything together. We're going to start with the top piece. We're just going to hot glue it right there. It's going to leave a little space on each side. We're going to add glue only where it touches the piece of wood. And then we're going to hold until it hardens and then keep adding until we have the roof all done. All right, so now we're going to add a barn door. So I'm just going to use the white chalk paint and a small brush, and we're just going to do kind of like a rectangle and then crisscross it in the center. That's it, just like a little barn door. And we're going to do it by hand because we want to have that rustic feel. I'm going to take one of these garland ties. You can find these at Dollar Tree, Walmart, Amazon, you name it. I'm going to roll it around to make a little tiny wreath, and we're going to twist it to itself. And we're going to take this ribbon from Dollar Tree, and we're just going to make a nice little bow, just a tiny little bow that we can place. I wish I would have had a different type of ribbon. I just didn't have anything that kind of matched it. I'm not a fan of how this one looks, but it's okay. It's what we had, so we're going to make it work. I'm going to hot glue it to the bottom of the wreath, keeping the wreath nice and simple. We're going to add a little bit of hot glue and then hot glue it to the top of the barn. So cute. And added a cute little pine cone in the center of the bow. To hang it, we're going to add some more of that baker's twine. Hot glue and tape does the work fronts because it's not a heavy piece. And then I decided to add a little bit what will look like snow or maybe like distress. I'm going to add it to the rooftop, just making sure it's nice and even. I added a little bit to the wreath form and a little bit to the pine cone just to add again that little snow feel. How adorable is this? Oh my word. Love the way this turned out. What a great craft you could do even with your friends. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I have another video here for you with tons more of Christmas Dollar Tree DIY crafts inspiration. Check it out. I'll see you later and have a blessed day. Bye.